What would you do if you discovered that the person sleeping next to you every night had been planning your funeral for months? That morning, when I accidentally opened a package addressed to my sister Maya, I thought it was just an innocent mistake. Inside was a single plane ticket to Costa Rica, one way, departing in 3 days. But Maya didn't have any travel plans. And when I looked closer at the passenger name, my blood ran cold. It was my husband's name, Marcus Bennett. Before we dive into this story, I need to ask you for a quick favor. Please hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and tell me in the comments which country you're watching from. This helps us grow and bring you more powerful stories like this one. The kitchen clock read 7:15 in the morning. Sunlight poured through the window of our Brooklyn apartment, the kind of golden light that usually made me feel grateful for my life. I had just finished preparing breakfast, fresh coffee, scrambled eggs with herbs, wheat toast. The same breakfast I'd made for Marcus every Tuesday for the past 4 years of our marriage. Marcus had already left for his morning jog, something he'd started doing religiously about 6 months ago. He said it helped clear his mind before heading to his architecture firm. I trusted him completely. Why wouldn't I? He was thoughtful, successful, and everyone who knew us said we were the perfect couple. I was tidying up the entryway when I noticed a package on the floor near the door. It must have been delivered early. The label read Maya Reeves, my younger sister who had moved in with us 2 months ago after losing her job. She was supposed to be staying in the guest room temporarily while she got back on her feet. I picked up the box, planning to leave it in her room, but the tape was loose on one corner. Without thinking much of it, I pulled it open slightly, assuming it was just clothes or books she'd ordered online. Inside was a single envelope from a travel agency. Curious, I slid it out. It was a flight confirmation. But as I read the details, my heart began to pound. Passenger name, Marcus Bennett. Destination, San Jose, Costa Rica. Departure, Friday 3 days from now. One-way ticket. No return date. My hands started shaking. Marcus had never mentioned any business trip to Costa Rica. He had never mentioned traveling at all. And why would a ticket for him be delivered to Maya's name? I stood frozen in the hallway, staring at that piece of paper like it was written in a language I couldn't understand. My mind raced through possibilities. Maybe it was a surprise for me? Maybe he was planning a romantic getaway and Maya was helping him? But then why only one ticket? I heard footsteps on the stairs. Maya was coming down, wearing one of her silk robes, her hair perfectly styled even though it was barely past 7. She smiled when she saw me, but her expression changed the moment she noticed the envelope in my hands. "Nina," she said carefully, her voice suddenly tight. That's my package." "Your package?" I repeated slowly, holding up the ticket. "Then why is Marcus's name on it?" She froze. For just a second, I saw panic flash across her face. Then she laughed, a forced, brittle sound. "Oh, that. Marcus and I were planning a surprise for you. A vacation for all of us. I must have ordered his ticket under my account by mistake." It was a terrible lie. I could see it in the way her eyes darted away from mine, in the way she twisted the belt of her robe around her fingers. This was my sister. I had known her my entire life. And in that moment, I knew, absolutely knew, that she was lying to me. I didn't confront her right then. Something inside me, maybe instinct, maybe survival, told me to stay quiet and observe. I handed the envelope back to Maya with a smile that felt like broken glass on my face. "That's so thoughtful," I said softly. "I can't wait." She took it quickly, relief flooding her features. "It's going to be amazing, Nina. You deserve it." Then she kissed my cheek and went back upstairs, clutching that envelope like it contained all her secrets. Which I realized it probably did. When Marcus returned from his jog 20 minutes later, sweaty and breathing hard, I watched him differently. I studied the way he avoided my eyes when he kissed my forehead. I noticed how he checked his phone 3 times during breakfast, typing quickly and then deleting messages. I saw the small smile that crossed his lips when a notification came through. A smile that disappeared the moment he remembered I was in the room. "Everything okay?" I asked, keeping my voice light. "Perfect," he said, squeezing my hand across the table. "Just work stuff. You know how clients are." But I didn't know anymore. I didn't know anything. After Marcus left for the office, I did something I'd never done before. I went into our bedroom and opened his laptop. My hands were trembling as I typed in his password. My birthday, something that now felt like a cruel joke. His email loaded slowly, and I scrolled through the inbox with my heart hammering against my ribs. Most of it was work correspondence, bills, subscriptions. Normal life. But then I saw a folder labeled Property Research. I clicked it open. Inside were dozens of emails about beachfront properties in Costa Rica, rental agreements, investment opportunities, and one email sent just 3 days ago that made the room spin around me. It was from a real estate agent. Mr. Bennett, as discussed, the villa is available for long-term lease starting next month. The 6-month deposit has been received. Both names have been added to the lease agreement as requested, Marcus Bennett and Maya Reeves. I read it 3 times. Then I read it again. 6 months. Both names. Marcus and Maya. My sister. My husband. I stumbled to the bathroom and vomited. When there was nothing left inside me, I sat on the cold tile floor and tried to breathe. For years of marriage. For years of cooking his favorite meals, supporting his career, believing in us. And my own sister, the person I'd welcomed into my home when she had nowhere else to go, had been planning to steal my entire life. I didn't cry. Not then. The tears would come later. In that moment, I felt something else entirely. Something cold and clear and sharp. I stood up, washed my face, and looked at myself in the mirror. The woman staring back at me looked the same as always. Shoulder-length dark hair, warm brown eyes, a face people called kind. But inside, something fundamental had shifted. I walked back to the bedroom and kept searching. I found airline confirmation emails going back 3 months, weekend trips to Miami, Atlanta, and Austin. Times when Marcus said he was at conferences or meeting clients. I found hotel reservations for 2 people. I found restaurant receipts from romantic dinners I'd never been invited to. And then I found text messages he'd backed up to his cloud storage. Messages between Marcus and Maya that made me feel like I was reading fiction. Except it wasn't fiction. It was my life dissected and destroyed in neat little digital files. I can't wait until we're free, Maya had written 2 weeks ago. Just a few more days and we can start over. She'll never see it coming. Marcus's response, I know, baby. Trust me, I've handled everything. The life insurance policy is finalized. Once we're gone, you'll never have to worry about money again. We'll have everything. Life insurance policy. The words echoed in my head like a death sentence. I opened a new browser tab with shaking fingers and logged into our insurance account. There it was, a policy I didn't remember signing. $1 million. Beneficiary, Marcus Bennett. The signature at the bottom looked like mine, but I had never seen this document before. Never signed it. Never agreed to it. They weren't just planning to abandon me. They were planning to kill me. I sat in that bedroom for 2 hours, reading every email, every message, every document I could find. I learned that Marcus had been having an affair with Maya for 8 months, starting just 2 weeks after she moved in with us. I learned that his architecture firm was failing, drowning in debt from bad investments and expensive tastes. I learned that he'd taken out loans in my name, forged my signature on credit applications, and spent nearly $40,000 of my inheritance from my grandmother. But most importantly, I learned their plan. It was detailed in a series of voice memos Marcus had recorded to himself, probably to keep track of all the lies he was spinning. They were going to stage a home invasion. Marcus had already made contact with someone. He never said the name, just called him D, who would break in on Thursday night while Maya was conveniently out with friends. The intruder would kill me during a robbery gone wrong. Marcus would be devastated. He'd collect the insurance money, sell our apartment, and within a month, he and Maya would be living in Costa Rica, where extradition was complicated and money went far. Friday's one-way ticket was a backup plan, in case something went wrong with the staged break-in. If I somehow survived, or if the police suspected anything, Marcus would disappear before they could arrest him. Maya would follow separately. They'd still have access to my accounts, my credit cards, everything they'd need to drain me dry even if they couldn't kill me. I closed the laptop and looked around our bedroom. The wedding photo on the dresser, the book on Marcus's nightstand that I'd given him for his last birthday, the sheets we'd picked out together at a department store sale. Every object felt contaminated now, poisoned by the truth. But I didn't break down. Instead, I picked up my phone and made a call to someone I hadn't spoken to in over a year. My father's old friend, Detective Raymond Cross. Raymond had retired from the NYPD 2 years ago, but he still had connections. More importantly, he'd known me since I was a child. He would believe me. Nina Reeves, he said warmly when he answered. What a wonderful surprise. How are you, sweetheart? Raymond, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. I need your help. And I need you to trust me when I say that what I'm about to tell you sounds impossible, but it's all true. I told him everything. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, there was a long silence on the other end of the line. Nina, he finally said, his voice grim. Do you have proof of all this? Screenshots, recordings, emails, forged documents, everything. I can send it all to you right now. Send it. And Nina, don't let them know you know. Not yet. We need to be smart about this. Can you do that? Can you pretend everything is normal? I thought about Maya kissing my cheek that morning. I thought about Marcus squeezing my hand at breakfast. I thought about the life insurance policy with my forged signature. Yes, I said. I can do that. That evening, I cooked dinner like nothing had changed. Herb roasted chicken, garlic mashed potatoes, and a Caesar salad, Marcus's favorite meal. I set the table with our good dishes, lit candles, and even put on the dress he'd once said he loved seeing me wear. When he came home, I greeted him at the door with a kiss and a smile. Wow, he said, looking around at the setup. What's the occasion? No occasion, I replied sweetly. I just felt like doing something nice. We've both been so busy lately. I wanted us to have a proper evening together. Something flickered in his eyes, guilt maybe, or fear, but it passed quickly. He smiled and pulled me close. You're amazing, Nina. I don't deserve you. For the first time in our marriage, I agreed with him completely. Maya came down just as I was serving the food. She'd dressed carefully too, a casual but flattering outfit, makeup applied with precision. She was performing just as much as I was, I realized. We were 3 actors on a stage, each playing our roles, each waiting for the curtain to fall. During dinner, I asked Marcus about work. He told elaborate lies about a difficult client and a project deadline. I nodded sympathetically, asked follow-up questions, and refilled his wine glass. I asked Maya about her job search. She told me about interviews that probably never happened, opportunities that didn't exist. I encouraged her, told her something would come through soon, that I was so glad she was staying with us. You've been so generous, Nina, Maya said, reaching across to squeeze my hand. I don't know what I would have done without you. I squeezed back, looking directly into her eyes. That's what sisters are for, right? We take care of each other no matter what. She held my gaze for just a moment too long, and I saw it, a flicker of something that might have been shame, or might have been fear that I knew more than I was saying. But then she smiled and the moment passed. After dinner, Marcus excused himself to take a call. I watched him step out onto the balcony, his voice low and urgent. Through the glass, I could see him pacing, running his hand through his hair the way he did when he was stressed. I knew without hearing a word that he was talking to Dee, finalizing the details of my murder. Maya helped me clear the dishes. We stood side by side at the sink, and for a moment, it felt like old times, the 2 Reeves sisters, doing chores together like we had growing up. Except this time, one of us was washing dishes with a woman she planned to betray, and the other was planning to survive. Nina, Maya said quietly, can I ask you something? My heart rate spiked, but I kept my expression calm. Of course. Do you ever feel like... She paused, choosing her words carefully. Like you want something more? Like this life is good, but maybe there's something better out there. I turned to look at her. Really look at her. She was 26, 3 years younger than me, and she'd always been the prettier one, the more adventurous one, the one who took risks while I played it safe. And now she was taking the biggest risk of all, betting that she could steal my husband and my life and get away with it. I have everything I need right here, I said softly. My home, my husband, my sister. Why would I want anything more? Her smile didn't reach her eyes. You're right. I'm just being silly. But we both knew she wasn't being silly. She was testing me, trying to see if I suspected anything. And I had just passed her test with flying colors. That night, after Marcus fell asleep beside me, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. Detective Raymond had called earlier with a plan. Tomorrow was Wednesday. The fake home invasion was scheduled for Thursday night. That gave us less than 48 hours to turn the trap around on them. Raymond had contacted an old colleague in the fraud division. With the forged insurance documents and the financial evidence I'd provided, they had enough to start building a case. But they wanted more. They wanted Marcus and Maya on record, discussing their plan. They wanted evidence that would stand up in court, that would put them both away for attempted murder, conspiracy, and fraud. So Raymond had arranged something. He had a friend, a former undercover officer named Sarah Chun, who would pose as D, the hitman Marcus thought he was hiring. She would meet with Marcus on Wednesday evening, wear a wire, and get him to lay out the entire plan on tape. Meanwhile, I would keep Maya distracted, keep her believing that everything was going according to their schedule. At 6 a.m., I got up and made coffee. Marcus stirred when he heard me in the kitchen. "You're up early," he mumbled, wrapping his arms around me from behind. I leaned back into him, playing my part. Couldn't sleep. "I've been thinking about us. About our future." "Yeah." His voice was careful. "What about it?" "I want to do something special. This Friday, let's go away for the weekend. Just you and me. We could drive up to that inn in the Berkshires, the one we went to on our first anniversary. What do you think?" I felt him tense. Friday was the day of his flight to Costa Rica. The day he was supposed to disappear from my life forever. "This Friday?" he asked. I have that work thing, remember?" "Oh, right." I turned in his arms, looking up at him with disappointed eyes. "I forgot. Maybe next week then." "Definitely next week," he said, kissing my forehead. But I could see the calculation in his eyes, the relief that I hadn't pushed harder. He thought he'd dodged my suspicion. He thought I was still the trusting, naive wife he'd married. He had no idea he was talking to someone completely different. At 10 a.m., I told Maya I needed to run errands and asked if she wanted to come along. She declined, saying she had phone interviews scheduled. Perfect. That meant she'd be home when the hitman called Marcus to arrange their meeting. I needed to be out of the house so Marcus would feel comfortable talking freely. I drove to a coffee shop 3 blocks away and sat in a corner booth with my laptop. Detective Raymond had given me access to a secure feed. Sarah Chin was already in position, her wire activated, waiting for Marcus's call. At 10:47, my phone buzzed with a text from Raymond. Contact made. He's meeting her at 4 p.m. West Side Pier, Warehouse District. My hands shook as I typed back. I'll keep Maya busy. The rest of the day crawled by like time was moving through honey. I went to the grocery store and bought ingredients I didn't need. I stopped at the pharmacy and pretended to browse. I did anything to kill time until 3 p.m., when I finally drove back home. Maya was in the living room, her laptop open, but I could tell she hadn't been working. She looked anxious, checking her phone every few seconds. "Hey," I said brightly. "I was thinking we could do a sister's afternoon. Maybe get our nails done? Have an early dinner? We haven't spent quality time together in forever." Her eyes widened. "Right now? Why not? Unless you're busy." She hesitated, clearly torn. She probably wanted to stay home in case Marcus needed her. But refusing would look suspicious. "Sure," she finally said, forcing enthusiasm into her voice. "That sounds great. Let me just grab my purse." While she was upstairs, I texted Raymond. "She's with me. He'll be alone." His response was immediate. "Perfect. Recording in progress." At exactly 4 p.m., while Maya and I sat in a nail salon making small talk, Marcus met Sarah Chun at an abandoned warehouse on the west side. I wouldn't hear the recording until later that night, but Raymond sent me periodic updates via text, each one making my blood run colder. He's explaining the timeline. He's negotiating price. Wants it to look like a robbery. He just gave her our address and the security code. He's describing where you sleep. What time you usually go to bed. That last text made me grip my phone so hard I thought the screen might crack. Maya noticed. "Everything okay?" she asked, her voice syrupy with false concern. "Perfect," I said, smiling at her. "Just work emails. Nothing important. We got matching manicures. A soft pink shade that Maya said made us look like twins." I stared at our hands side by side under the UV light and thought about how many times these hands had hugged each other, held each other during hard times, celebrated victories together. And now one pair of hands belonged to a woman who was planning to watch me die. After nails, we went to a trendy bistro Maya had been wanting to try. She ordered wine and started to relax, probably relieved that whatever Marcus was doing, it was happening without any interference from me. She talked about the future, vague plans about maybe moving to the West Coast, maybe trying something new, maybe finally taking that trip she'd always dreamed about. "Where would you go?" I asked. "If you could go anywhere?" "Somewhere warm," she said, her eyes distant. "Somewhere with beaches. Somewhere far away from winter and stress and everything." "Like Costa Rica?" I suggested innocently. She froze, her wine glass halfway to her lips. "What? Costa Rica?" I repeated. "I've heard it's beautiful." Isn't that where you've always wanted to go? For a moment, pure panic flashed across her face. Then she laughed, but it sounded wrong, mechanical. Did I say that? I don't remember. Maybe. I've mentioned a lot of places. Maybe I'm thinking of someone else, I said, letting her off the hook. But the damage was done. She knew that I knew something, even if she couldn't pinpoint exactly what. We finished dinner in awkward silence. By the time we got home at 7 p.m., Marcus was already there, sitting on the couch with a beer, his face flushed and his eyes bright with adrenaline. How were your errands? He asked me. Great, I said. Maya and I had a girls' day. Look, we got matching nails. I held up my hands, and he smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. He and Maya exchanged a glance, quick, coded, full of meaning. The meeting must have gone well. Their plan was on track. That night, after they both went to bed, Maya in the guest room, Marcus beside me, I crept downstairs and called Raymond from the bathroom with the shower running to mask my voice. Tell me you got it, I whispered. We got everything, he said, and I could hear the grim satisfaction in his voice. He outlined the entire plan. Time, method, motive. He talked about the insurance policy, about staging it as a robbery, about leaving the country afterward. Nina, this is airtight. We have him. What happens now? Tomorrow night, Thursday, he thinks the hitman is coming to your house at 11 p.m. Instead, we'll be waiting. We'll have officers in position. When he lets Dee into your home, when he gives the final go-ahead, we arrest him. Maya too, if she's present. It'll be over. I closed my eyes, leaning against the bathroom wall. And you're sure they can't get away? You're sure this will work? Nina, Raymond said gently, I promise you. By this time tomorrow, you'll be safe. And they'll be in custody. You just have to hold on for one more day. Can you do that? I looked at myself in the bathroom mirror. My face was pale, exhausted, but my eyes were clear. Determined. Yes, I said. I can do that. Thursday morning arrived with gray skies and cold rain. The kind of weather that felt like a bad omen. I woke up before Marcus, my body tense with anticipation and fear. Today was supposed to be the last day of my life. Instead, it would be the last day of his freedom. I made breakfast like always. Pancakes, bacon, fresh orange juice. Marcus came down wearing his best suit, the charcoal one he saved for important meetings. He kissed my cheek and sat down at the table, checking his phone constantly. Big day at work? I asked. You could say that, he replied, not looking up. Meeting with a major client. Could change everything for the firm. More lies. I wondered if he even remembered what the truth sounded like anymore. Maya appeared a few minutes later, and I noticed something I'd never seen before. She and Marcus were carefully avoiding looking at each other. They were being too cautious, overcompensating. The chemistry between them, which must have been so electric when they thought I was oblivious, had turned anxious and strained now that they were hours away from committing murder. I'm going to run some errands today, I announced casually. Might be gone most of the afternoon. Do either of you need anything? No, Marcus said too quickly. I'll probably be home late anyway. Don't wait up for me. He wanted me home alone tonight. Waiting. Unsuspecting. Actually, Nina, Maya interjected. I was thinking maybe we could do dinner together? Just us girls again? Last night was so fun. She was trying to establish an alibi, I realized. She wanted to be visibly somewhere else when it happened, surrounded by witnesses, so she could play the devastated sister when the news came. I'd love that, I said warmly. But I'm actually pretty tired. I think I'll just have a quiet night at home. Maybe order takeout and watch a movie. Rain check. Maya's smile tightened, but she nodded. Of course. Another time. After they both left, Marcus to his meeting, Maya to supposedly job hunt at a coffee shop, I called Raymond. They're spooked, I told him. Something feels off. What if they cancel? What if they suspect something? They won't cancel, Raymond assured me. Marcus is in too deep. He owes money to dangerous people. The insurance policy is his only way out. He's desperate, and desperate people don't think clearly. Trust me, Nina. This is happening tonight. What do I need to do? At 10 p.m., you're going to leave your apartment. I'll pick you up 2 blocks away. We'll have officers positioned around your building, inside the lobby, on your floor. When Marcus lets the hitman in at 11 p.m., we move. But you cannot be in that apartment. Understood? Understood, I whispered. The rest of the day was torture. I tried to keep busy, cleaning, organizing, packing a bag with essentials in case I couldn't come back to the apartment right away. But mostly I just watched the clock, each minute dragging by like an hour. At 6 p.m., Marcus texted. Stuck in traffic. Running late. Should be home by 10. He was lying, of course. He was probably with Maya, going over the plan one last time, making sure everything was in place. At 7 p.m., Maya texted. Hey sis, change of plans. Staying at a friend's place tonight. Need a mental health break. See you tomorrow. She was establishing her alibi, making sure she was far away when it happened. I texted back. No problem. Enjoy your night. At 9 p.m., I took a shower and got dressed in comfortable clothes. Jeans, a sweater, sneakers. I packed my laptop, phone charger, important documents, and my grandmother's jewelry into a backpack. Then I walked through the apartment one last time, looking at everything Marcus and I had built together. The couch we'd picked out at IKEA. The painting we'd bought on our honeymoon in Italy. The bookshelf full of novels we'd read to each other on lazy Sundays. It was all a lie. Every memory contaminated. Every moment rewritten by his betrayal. At 9:50 p.m., I turned off most of the lights, making it look like I'd gone to bed early. I left the TV on low in the bedroom, so anyone listening from outside would think I was home. Then I slipped out the front door, locked it quietly behind me, and took the stairs instead of the elevator. The rain had stopped, but the streets were still wet, reflecting the streetlights in shimmering pools. I walked quickly, my backpack heavy on my shoulders, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. 2 blocks away, Raymond's car was waiting exactly where he said it would be. I climbed into the passenger seat, and he immediately pulled away from the curb. You okay? He asked, glancing at me with concern. No, I said honestly. But I will be. He drove us to a surveillance van parked 3 streets over. Inside, 2 other officers were monitoring feeds from cameras they'd installed in my building's hallway and lobby. On a laptop screen, I could see my own front door, dark and quiet. Audio's in place too, one of the officers explained. We've got microphones in the living room and hallway. The moment they start talking, we'll hear everything. At 10:47 p.m., Marcus appeared on the hallway camera. He was alone, walking quickly, his head down. He unlocked our apartment door and went inside. Through the audio feed, I heard him moving around, checking rooms. She's asleep, he muttered, talking to himself or to someone on the phone, I couldn't tell. Everything's ready. At 10:55 p.m., his phone rang. I heard him answer. Yeah? Yes, everything's set. 11 p.m., like we discussed. Front door will be unlocked. Make it quick, make it look real. I'll be in the study, I won't hear anything. My stomach turned. He was so calm, so matter-of-fact, discussing the logistics of my murder like he was ordering takeout. At 10:58 p.m., a figure appeared in the lobby camera. Sarah Chun, wearing dark clothes, a baseball cap pulled low. She looked exactly like what Marcus would expect, cold, professional, dangerous. She's going up, Raymond said quietly. Get ready. We all watched the screen in tense silence. Sarah took the elevator to the 8th floor. She walked down the hallway toward my door. She knocked, 3 soft taps. The door opened. Marcus stood there, backlit by the dim interior lights. You're D, he asked. That's right, Sarah replied. Can I come in? We shouldn't talk in the hallway. Marcus stepped aside, letting her in. The door closed behind them. Through the audio feed, I heard them move into the living room. Marcus was breathing hard, nervous energy crackling in his voice. So, how does this work? He asked. You tell me what you want, Sarah said, her voice flat and professional. I need to hear it from you directly. No confusion, no mistakes. Right. Okay. Marcus exhaled sharply. My wife, Nina. She'll be in the bedroom, sleeping. I need it to look like a robbery. You break in, she wakes up, there's a struggle, and, Then you take some valuables, jewelry, laptop, cash. Make it look real. And you'll be where? In my study. Door closed. Headphones on. I won't hear anything. When I come out and find her. His voice actually broke with fake emotion. I'll be devastated. Call 911. Play the traumatized husband. And what's in it for you? Sarah pressed. Why are you doing this? This was the crucial moment. Raymond had coached Sarah carefully. She needed to get Marcus to say it himself, to spell out his motive clearly. There's a life insurance policy, Marcus said. $1 million. I'm the beneficiary. And she's got assets, property, inheritance, investments. Once she's gone, I inherit everything. My sister-in-law and we've been planning this for months. We're going to start over somewhere new. Somewhere far away. Your sister-in-law, Sarah repeated. She knows about this? It was her idea, Marcus said, and I heard the bitterness in his voice. Maya. She pushed for this. Said Nina was weak, said she'd never suspect anything. Said we deserved the money more than Nina did because Nina never worked for it, just inherited it from her rich grandmother. In the van, I felt tears streaming down my face. Not because I was sad, I was beyond sadness now, but because hearing him say it out loud made it undeniably real. This wasn't a mistake or a moment of weakness. This was calculated, premeditated murder, and my own sister had been the architect. All right, Sarah said. I'll need half payment up front. 20,000, like we discussed. I've got it here. I heard rustling. Marcus must have had a bag of cash prepared. Then Sarah's voice again. Before we go any further, I need to be clear about something. What? I'm not actually going to kill your wife, Mr. Bennett. I'm a police officer, and you're under arrest. The audio exploded with sound, Marcus shouting, furniture scraping, doors bursting open. On the video feed, I saw officers flooding into my apartment from the hallway, from the fire escape, from every direction. Marcus tried to run but was tackled in the living room, pinned to the ground, handcuffed within seconds. No, this isn't, you don't understand, he screamed, but his protests were drowned out by Miranda rights being read in calm, official tones. Raymond turned to me. We've got him. It's over. But it wasn't over. Not quite. What about Maya? I asked. She's not there. She's at her friend's place, establishing her alibi. Raymond smiled grimly. Actually, she's not. We've been tracking her phone. She's been parked 2 blocks from your building for the past hour, waiting to hear that it's done. My partner's bringing her in right now. He pulled up another video feed on his phone. I saw Maya sitting in her car, her phone pressed to her ear, trying to call Marcus over and over. She looked panicked, frantic. Then police lights flooded her car from behind. Officers approached, weapons drawn, ordering her out of the vehicle. She emerged with her hands up, crying, trying to explain that she was just parked there, that she hadn't done anything wrong. But when they told her Marcus had been arrested and had given a full confession implicating her, I watched her face crumble. She collapsed against the car, sobbing, and didn't resist when they handcuffed her. Do you want to see them? Raymond asked me gently. You don't have to. You can go home, and we'll handle everything from here. I thought about it. Part of me wanted to never see either of them again, to simply erase them from my life like they'd never existed. But another part, the part that had spent the last 2 days pretending, performing, surviving, needed closure. I want to see Maya, I said. Just for a moment. They brought Maya to the police station in handcuffs, mascara streaking down her face, her carefully constructed image shattered completely. They put her in an interrogation room, and I watched through the one-way glass for several minutes before Raymond escorted me inside. When Maya saw me, her eyes went wide. Nina, she gasped. Nina, thank God. Tell them this is all a mistake. Tell them I didn't. Didn't what? I interrupted, my voice cold. Didn't plan to kill me? Didn't seduce my husband? Didn't help him forge insurance documents and drain my bank accounts? She stared at me, realization dawning. You knew. You knew this whole time. Since Tuesday morning, I said, sitting down across from her. When I found Marcus's plane ticket in your package. The one-way ticket to Costa Rica. Maya's face went pale. Nina, please. I can explain. It wasn't supposed to be like this. We fell in love. We didn't mean for. Don't. I cut her off. Don't insult me with lies about love. You and Marcus conspired to murder me for money. That's not love. That's greed and selfishness and cruelty. It was his idea, she cried desperately. Marcus planned everything. I just went along with it because I was scared of him, because he threatened me. Stop. My voice was sharp. I heard the recordings, Maya. I heard Marcus say it was your idea. That you convinced him I was weak, that I'd never suspect anything. You didn't just go along with it. You orchestrated it. She broke down completely then, sobbing into her handcuffed hands. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Nina. I don't know what happened to me. I wanted what you had. The nice apartment, the husband with money, the easy life. And then Marcus and I started talking, and he told me about his debts, and I thought maybe we could help each other. And it just spiraled, and You wanted what I had, I repeated slowly. So you decided to take it, even if that meant killing me. She looked up at me with red, swollen eyes. I never really thought it would happen. I don't know what I thought. That maybe something would stop it, that we'd come up with another plan, that someone else would do your dirty work so you wouldn't have to feel guilty, I finished. But you would have let it happen, Maya. If the police hadn't stopped it, you would have let that hitman walk into my bedroom tonight. You would have attended my funeral and cried crocodile tears and spent my money without a second thought. What's going to happen to me? She whispered. I stood up, looking down at my baby sister. The girl I'd protected our whole lives, the girl I'd welcomed into my home when she had nowhere else to go. You're going to prison, I said simply. For a very long time. You and Marcus both. I turned to leave, but she called out one more time. Nina, please. We're family. We're sisters. You can't just. I looked back at her. No, I said quietly. We're not sisters anymore. Sisters don't try to murder each other for money. You stopped being my sister the day you decided my life was worth less than a beach house in Costa Rica. And then I walked out, leaving her sobbing in that interrogation room, and I didn't look back. 30 days later, I stood in the office of my grandmother's attorney, signing the final papers that would protect my assets and officially dissolve my marriage to Marcus. The divorce was fast-tracked given the circumstances. Attempted murder tends to speed up legal proceedings. Marcus and Maya were both in custody awaiting trial. The evidence against them was overwhelming. The wire recording, the forged insurance documents, the financial records, the text messages, the travel bookings. Their attorneys had tried to cut deals, but the prosecutor refused. This was going to trial, and they were both facing decades in prison. How are you holding up? The attorney asked me as I signed the last page. Honestly, I looked up at him. I'm still processing it. Some days I can't believe it happened. Other days I can't believe I didn't see it coming sooner. You couldn't have known, he said gently. They were very good at hiding it. Maybe, I agreed. Or maybe I just didn't want to see it. Maybe I was so comfortable in my life that I ignored all the warning signs. He slid the papers into a folder. What will you do now? I thought about that question. For the past month, I'd been staying with a friend, unable to return to the apartment that held so many contaminated memories. I'd taken a leave of absence from my job. I'd spent hours in therapy, unpacking the trauma, learning to trust my instincts again. I'm going to sell the apartment, I said. Too many ghosts there. And I'm going to travel. My grandmother left me money specifically for that. She wanted me to see the world, but I always put it off because Marcus said we couldn't afford the time away from work. Turns out that was just another lie to keep me controlled and isolated. Where will you go? I smiled, a real smile, the first one in weeks. Everywhere she wanted me to see. Paris, Tokyo, New Zealand, Morocco. I'm going to spend a year just exploring, finding myself again, remembering who I was before Marcus, before Maya, before all of this. That sounds wonderful, the attorney said warmly. And Nina, your grandmother would be very proud of you. You're stronger than you knew. 6 months later, I found myself standing on a beach in Costa Rica, the same country Marcus and Maya had planned to escape to with my money. But I wasn't here to hide or run away. I was here because it was on my grandmother's travel list, and I'd promised myself I'd visit every place she'd wanted to see. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd spent the morning exploring a local market, practicing my Spanish, buying fresh fruit from vendors who smiled at my terrible accent. I'd hiked through a rainforest and swam in a waterfall. I'd eaten lunch at a tiny beachside restaurant and made friends with the owner's daughter, a young woman my age who was saving money to go to university. Now, as the sun set over the Pacific, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, I sat on the sand and opened my journal, something my therapist had suggested I keep. Dear Grandmother, I wrote, I made it to Costa Rica. I can see why you loved it here. It's beautiful in a way that feels healing. I think that's what I needed most, healing. I paused, watching the waves roll in, then continued writing. I've learned so much in the past 6 months. I've learned that trusting people doesn't make me weak or naive. It makes me human. What Marcus and Maya did wasn't my fault. I didn't cause it by being too trusting. They chose to betray me. That was their decision, their moral failure, not mine. I've learned that I'm stronger than I ever knew. When I was backed into a corner, when my life was literally on the line, I didn't fall apart. I fought back. I was strategic and smart and brave. And I won. I've learned that family isn't always blood. Detective Raymond has been more of a family to me than Maya ever was. My friend Jasmine, who let me stay with her for weeks without asking for anything in return, she's family. The strangers I've met traveling who've shared meals and stories and kindness. They're family too. And I've learned that it's okay to start over. I'm 29 years old. My marriage failed. My sister betrayed me. My life imploded. But I'm still here. And I get to decide what comes next. I closed the journal and pulled out my phone. I had a new message from Detective Raymond. Trial date set for next month. Prosecutor says it's a slam dunk. How are you doing? I typed back. I'm in Costa Rica. Watching the sunset. Feeling grateful. I'll be back for the trial. Thank you for everything, Raymond. You saved my life. His response came quickly. You saved your own life, Nina. I just helped. Enjoy the sunset. You've earned it. I put my phone away and sat there as the sun dipped below the horizon, the last rays of light dancing on the water. A year ago, I'd been a different person. Someone who thought she knew what her life would look like, who trusted without question, who believed in happy endings. Now I was someone else. Someone who'd looked death in the face and survived. Someone who'd lost everything and was rebuilding from the ground up. Someone who understood that happy endings aren't given. They're fought for, earned, created through courage and resilience, and refusing to let the worst moments define you. I wasn't the same Nina who'd opened that package and found a plane ticket. That Nina had died in a way. But someone stronger had taken her place. The courtroom was packed on the first day of the trial. Media had picked up the story. Woman foils husband and sister's murder plot. And it had gone viral. Reporters lined the hallway. Cameras flashed as I walked in, flanked by Detective Raymond and my attorney. I debated whether to attend. My testimony had already been given in depositions. I didn't technically need to be there, but I wanted to look them in the eye. I wanted them to see that I was still standing, still strong, still here despite their best efforts. Marcus looked different, thinner, older, his expensive suit replaced with an orange jumpsuit. He wouldn't meet my eyes when I entered. Maya, sitting at a separate defense table, stared at me with something that might have been regret or might have been resentment. I couldn't tell anymore, and I didn't care. The prosecution's case was devastating. They played the wire recording of Marcus discussing my murder with who he thought was a hitman. They showed the forged insurance documents, the financial records, the text messages between Marcus and Maya planning their escape. They presented evidence of Marcus's gambling debts and Maya's willingness to eliminate me to access my money. Marcus's attorney tried to argue diminished capacity, that his client was under extreme financial pressure and not thinking clearly. Maya's attorney tried to claim she was manipulated by Marcus, that she was a victim too. The jury didn't buy either defense. On the witness stand, I testified calmly and clearly about discovering the plane ticket, about finding the evidence, about the gut-wrenching realization that the two people I trusted most in the world wanted me dead. I didn't cry. I didn't break down. I simply told the truth. When Marcus's attorney cross-examined me, trying to suggest I'd overreacted or misinterpreted their intentions, I looked directly at the jury and said, "My husband invited a man he believed to be a professional killer into our home. He gave him our security code, told him where I slept, and offered him $20,000 to murder me in my bed. There's no misinterpretation. There's no overreaction. There's just the truth." The jury deliberated for less than 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Both of them. Marcus, attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, insurance fraud, forgery. Sentence, 25 years to life. Maya, conspiracy to commit murder, fraud, accessory to attempted murder. Sentence, 15 years to life. When the verdicts were read, Marcus finally looked at me. His eyes were empty, defeated. He mouthed something, maybe I'm sorry, maybe just why, but I didn't acknowledge it. There was nothing left to say. Maya cried as they led her away in handcuffs, calling my name, begging me to visit her in prison, insisting we could still be sisters if I'd just forgive her. I stood up, gathered my things, and walked out without looking back. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed me with questions. How did it feel? Was I relieved? What message did I have for other women in similar situations? I stopped, took a breath, and spoke directly to the cameras. What I want people to understand is that betrayal can come from anywhere, from the people you sleep next to, from the family you grew up with, from the people who smile at you every morning. But betrayal doesn't define you. How you respond to it does. I could have been a victim. I could have let them destroy me. Instead, I fought back. I used my mind, I trusted the right people, and I saved my own life. If my story helps even one person recognize the warning signs, trust their instincts, or find the courage to fight back, then everything I went through had meaning. 1 year after that courtroom, I'm living a life I never imagined. I've finished my grandmother's travel list, every country, every city, every adventure she wanted me to have. I've started a nonprofit helping women escape dangerous relationships, funded by the life insurance money Marcus thought he'd collect from my death. I've learned that the strongest steel is forged in the hottest fire, that betrayal can either destroy you or transform you into something unbreakable. And I've learned that sometimes the people who want to bury you don't realize you're a seed. My name is Nina Reeves, and this is the story of how I refused to be a victim. If my story resonated with you, please subscribe to this channel and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Your support helps us bring more powerful true stories to light. Thank you for watching, and remember, you are stronger than you know.